Hello and welcome everybody, this is your host Learbach, and you're just in time for more Minecraft. So what are we doing in Minecraft this time? Well, much like we did with the Minecraft Equestria, I'm going to be looking over a map. Someone else did this map, someone other than me, so I'll have their names in the description, and a link to the download as well, much like I did with the Equestria site. So anyway, you're probably curious as to what map we're actually going to be doing here and why I haven't revealed it yet. Well, I figured, because the timing kind of seemed right, and the fact that I am going on a cruise here, pretty much as of the posting of this, I should be on the plane to Florida to go to the Cayman Islands. So yeah. So I figured, why not just explore an island ourselves? One from my childhood, the Island of Mata Nui. Yeah, you probably can't tell if you've never actually played Bionicle or did anything with Bionicle. So basically, let me see if I can zoom out here all the way. Nope. You get a good fourth of the island though. So yeah, we have the Island of Mata Nui. This is based off of the Mata Nui online game that LEGO released way back in the day when it first came out. In fact, right here we have the Bionicle head, or the Technic head that would be basically an unofficial symbol of Bionicle next to the official, which was Tahu's mask. So yeah, this is not 100% accurate to the map, but from what I understand, the guy that worked on this was working on someone else's map, and so he tried to kind of put together what he could. So yeah, in the game you go this way to get to Ta-Koro, which is like the first town you technically go to, and then you go this way to actually go on the boat to go to Ga-Koro. I'm going to try to do this in somewhat in order. The game was kind of for those of you that don't know what Bionicle online game was, is basically you got to explore Mata Nui during the events of the first year of Bionicle, during when the Toas came out and tried to stop the evil Makuta, who was and has been since like the main antagonist of the entire series. But anyway, one of the first places you go to is you see this cliffside up here, where you see this thing here, a telescope, I think, like some sort of telescope or astrological astral observer sort of thing, and you look at the stars, and yeah, I don't remember what they did. Been a while since I played the game. Right over here you see what would trigger a cutscene using these whoops, did not mean to do that, hit a button there, which would depict two stones, one being a black stone kind of jagged with this jagged face on it, and the other being that kind of a smooth stone, very smooth design, kind of a smooth face. This represented the Makuta and Mata Nui, respectively, and kind of told the story of how the god of Mata Nui, who's named after the island, was put to sleep by the evil Makuta, and that the Toas are destined to save him. And right here would be the first spot where you see, I believe, Tahu's canister. One of the things for youngins who are just getting into Bionicle now, since it's been rebooted, the Toas didn't come in boxes; they came in canisters. And this was reflected in the series as well. Like, these are like plastic canisters, like you unscrew the tops open, and the tops even had like these little mock-up heads where you could put the masks up on for display. It was amazing, and they kept that kind of design. They changed up the canisters every now and then, but like the original canisters, you could actually put them in. And then when they had let's see, I think the Toa Nuva, I want to say they used the same canisters. But I could be wrong on that. I'm trying to remember. I remember having all the original 6 Toas, and then the same with the Nuvas. Which, for those of you who don't know, the Toa Nuvas are just upgrade forms of the original Toas, and then all of the Toas after that have been different. Actually, I think, yeah, all the Toas after that have been different. And they had the Toa Metru, who are the second Toas. They're actually technically the first. They were technically the first, because the whole thing with the Toa Metru and the Hordika are prequels. And the Hordika is the second form of the Metru, and then after that you got third generation Toas, which are like, I think, Voya, and then they became Toa Mari, and then it cycled back to the original Toa, the Toa Mata, as they were then called. I actually think it's like Finoka and Mystica, which are just kind of actually like half the Toas were Fintoka, the other half were Mystica. It got a little weird. And that's... Whoa. Okay, I don't think he's supposed to be here. Yeah, I'm gonna say this is a glitch. Let's go ahead and kill that. But anyway, here are our first main site, or I guess our next site, which is the Burnt Forest. In this game, in the game, the Burnt Forest is basically you walked around in a circle trying to find your way, and you could actually mark the trees with like some chalk or some scratch marks, and you had to try to find your way through. The trick is there was no way to get through the forest. Eventually, one way or another, you had to find your way back to the entrance. And like I said, it's not, this pathway here isn't really accurate to the game. I'm not really sure what all these mountains here are, or all those hills are. But anyway, if we continue onward, we will be heading into the mountain to go to Ta-Koro, the village of fire, where all the Ta-Matorans dwell. So let's go in, shall we? I remember this in the game being a lot lower into the ground entrance, and there's no path out here. I think this actually leads us to, yeah, this leads us somewhere else. Full disclosure, I have checked out this map before. There's a failed recording, and it'll be, let's put it this way, the map creator did some things with the Nether, but we're not going to be going in there because the last time I tried that, it really crashed the game, and therefore also destroyed the recording. But anyway, if we go over here, we see we got the entrance to Ta-Koro, or the City of Fire. Each city had Koro in the name, and the first 2 letters of the Toa that represented them, or 3 in Onu-Koro's case, because saying On-Koro would sound a little weird. If we head over here, this will take us to another village. Usually from here, like going this way, would take you to Ga-Koro, and also to Jaller, or if you prefer the original Jala's guard posts, where you'd hit a switch and that would cause the bridge to come up. Now really what it was, like a bunch of stones, and the lava was way up higher. Lava was like, actually like right here. Actually, it might have been like, yeah, the lava would be like right here, and so you jump over the stones. Except you wouldn't actually jump over the stones, because the game is kind of a little different that way. And oh look, looks like we got some villagers. Coal. They all went coal for emerald. And they all kind of look like they're dressed up like blacksmiths, so it kind of fits. I have been told, I've read on the page that this guy had, had some, each of the villages had their own set of villagers that if you had the right resource, or the right texture or resource pack on, you can see them as their respective members. Yeah, the fact that the mine lined up so perfectly with these, that's kind of neat. They kind of do look like blacksmiths. This is kind of a fire area. The Ta-Korans, I believe, were known for being blacksmiths, I want to say. Kind of constructing things. Because each village had different traits. But anyway, here we have the, oh crap, I can't remember what it's called. This is like their altar. Not like, I can't remember, but basically what this was is like I said, remember what I was talking about earlier, the canisters, and like how the lids had like these little faces on top, and you could put the masks on. In the game, this was Tahu's canister top, and it was a little more decorated in the game. And there's like a Matoran or villager, like wiping it down. Like keeping it clean. If you went to talk to him, he'd say, "Oh, I'm just keeping this clean for Tahu when he gets back." Right here we see the outside of the volcano, or the lid of the volcano, and right here we get the Tahunga. No, Turaga. The Turaga. Tahunga used to be the name of the Matorans before they had to change it due to legal reasons. But yeah, this is the Tahunga, which is the village, or Turaga, the village leader, Vakama. Vakama was one of the original Toas who became a Turaga later because he gave up his powers. That he and his said the other Mator said Vakama gave up his power as a Toa as well as all the other Toas of his generation so that the Matorans could survive, because his story, Vakama and his Toa's stories are that of when the Makuta put Mata Nui to sleep. Sorry if that sounds a little complicated, but I really don't mean for it to sound complicated. Ooh, what's this, a map? Ooh, right here we get a map of Mata Nui. You can look at the map here, and if you're a fan of Bionicle, you know this geometric shape is very familiar. This is pretty accurate as far as the shape goes. But yeah, full disclosure, this is actually where you start as well. Even before when I did this the first time, I feel like I'm having to get rid of a lot of trash. Even before when you did this the first time, you started in there, and I just kind of moved my character out beforehand. Moved myself out to the proper opening because I wanted to do this a bit of a proper way. Didn't want to start off in the middle of the village. But anyway, so right there you can see the spot where they seem to have not finished. Yeah, a little weird. Anyway, I believe if we head this way, according to the map, or yeah, we'll head to Le-Koro, which I think will be the next area we'll go to. Another thing I should mention. In the Mata Nui online game, there's going to be a lot of comparisons to that. I'm sorry, this is kind of what the guy based the map off of. If you go this way, you go towards Onu-Koro. You also end up going to Le-Koro as a way too from doing some side quests. For some reason, the guy who did the map decided to put a tunnel out here to Le-Koro. Which I believe if we head this way, you can get to Le-Koro this way. Now, Le-Koro is in the middle of a dense jungle. Actually, technically speaking, it's on top of a dense jungle. And when you get there the first time, you have one of the Matorans guiding you. I believe it was a Ta-Koro, Ta-Matoran, excuse me. And he ends up getting captured by some evil wasp thingies. I cannot remember their name. I remember the species. I remember the general names for beasts, for evil beasts, were Rahi, but I don't remember the species names. But anyway, eventually, as you travel, you will find an elevator sort of looking shaft. Not an elevator, a little container, like an elevator container, like an elevator pod sort of thing, that will take you up a tree if you just input the right combination, which is moving all the switches up. Yeah, this is a game meant for kids. And you enter Le-Koro, which will go ahead and in here. One thing I want to mention, the current songs we're listening to, aside from the first three, which were from the original soundtrack, all the songs here are from a fan project that, as far as I know, has not been updated in over 2-3 years. Yeah. But yeah, I chose this song, these songs, so I figured that I'd be able to get around the copyright with those. All the others are have actual lyrics and are really good. But anyway, so here we have Le-Koro, which I believe this might be one of the most different from the game. Yeah, we have some priest villagers. They kind of do look a bit airy, like they belong in the air. You know. Oh, there's a different one. But I believe there's only like one platform in the game, and there's like only two platforms. There's the one you start off on, and then you have the launching platform, which I think is what this one is. Because what the Le-Korans have to do, what you have to do in this area is you have to, first of all, you have to get the Le-Korans to reveal themselves. Le-Korans are very, very secretive. They tend to hide, but they tend to also talk a lot. They're also the ones that kind of talk in the most bizarrely. They kind of have like this kind of native speaking sort of thing. Like they're the ones that use strange terminology the most out of everyone else. Like everyone else, like kind of speaks in a normal English language, I guess you could say, or whatever your native language is. If English isn't your native language. And the Le-Korans, they speak English too, but they also, like, you know, instead of saying in the tree, they live up in the high place or something like that. I'm not saying it. I'm not using anything correctly. You go wind sailing or something like that instead of flying. It's stuff like that. Not exactly, but you get the idea. But yeah, so eventually, what you have to get them to reveal themselves by you find this flute and then you play this song to get their attention, and you go ahead and head over toward the edge of the island here to just kind of get a view of it, and then let me zoom in there a little bit so the map doesn't look so broken. Ooh, they even have the islands over here. And so eventually, like I said, you reveal them and they start talking to you, and then you have to help save their Traga, which I don't remember the name of him. I only remember Vakama. And you have to go into this hive, this wasp hive, using the birds that they tame. I don't remember the birds' names, and you join up with one of the Matoran because you're a good disc thrower. That's one of the main projectile weapons in the Bionicle universe are discs. It's actually a pretty neat concept. Like, you basically throw a frisbee at a guy and it hurts them. Yeah, so you had to do this little mini game there and how to fight your way in, and then I think Lewa was under the control of a corrupted Kanohi, which Kanohi is their masks. So Lewa had a corrupted mask that caused them to basically be under the Makuta's control. And that's kind of how all the Rahi were. Like, the Rahi were had corrupted masks as well, and so they were under the Makuta's control. And the corrupted masks are like these rusted masks. They looked rusted, and that's kind of cool. So yeah. This pathway that we're taking right now, this right here would take you to Onu-Koro, Ta-Koro, and this would be the way to Le-Koro. Which usually at the beginning of the game, this part was under construction. Actually, I think I kind of did a little bit of that myself. So this would be under construction until you completed the task you had in Ta-Koro, which I believe was there's like a maintenance shaft or something, like a supply shack that got flooded by lava that you had to surf over to and use the pump there to pull the lava out so that they could get the tools and finish working, or something like that. But anyway, if we head over this way, we can head straight into Onu-Koro, which would be the four towns. You got 4 towns you could immediately go to, 4 villages you could immediately go to. And Onu-Koro was one of them. I think Onu-Koro is one of the only areas that didn't really have any major problems. And I gotta say, this is pretty accurate. Like, I mean, pretty accurate to the actual map itself. It's like, you have even this guy over here that sells these vendors. This guy sells a light stone, which are like, they're basically like torches, but they're kind of like, they're like these stones that generate, these crystals that generate light that are wrapped around this stone case. And you can like pop the lid off and pop it back on. I would assume anyway. And this guy, I think, sold fish. Like, the fish are like, everything was like Legos. Like, everything but the world itself was Legos. Like, so every living creature was like the Legos. And right in here, I believe this is the Trahunga's house here, Onawa. That's right. Just remember that. This is Onawa. Who's the only other Trog I know. No, primarily because his name is very similar to Onuwa. But anyway, here we go. Oh, we have the path. This is telling us that we can get to Le-Koro if we head straight, and Ta-Koro if we go this way. So yeah, like I said, it's pretty accurate. I'm trying to remember. There's a place in the map. There's a place in the original game you could go to, and you found this circular path that looked kind of like a sundial, but it wasn't. It served a different purpose. I can't remember if it was in here or if it was somewhere. I want to say it was in Onu-Koro. There was like a path you could get to it, and it had something to do with the next line of Lego afterwards. It gave you a hint of what was to come, which would be, I guess, spoilers, whatever. Would be the Bow Rocks, which were the second after the Toas defeated the Makuta the first time. The Makuta had a backup plan, which were the Bow Rocks, which were these like little insectoid-like things that spun around and had these that rolled around and had these like flipper-like hands. You could knock your mask off pretty easily, and replace them with these like I forget what they're called. Like they're like their own version of the mask, and like they could again corrupt you like the corrupted Kanohis. That's when you get shortly after that, when they become, after the Toas deal with that, that's when they become the Toa Nuva. But anyway, out here we have a lot of ice, a lot of snow before we actually hit the desert, which is a little weird, but this is not supposed to be here in the game. In the actual game, it's just, desert right away. But also in the actual game, this path is, like, really long. Like, to the point where you actually need a crab to get through. I believe the crab is a Puku crab. I know it's a weird name, but like it's kind of like a taxi service, sort of. Yeah, and like the crab would get you through like a load faster than you could ever get through on your own. And this guy, I think right here, this building was like the guy who rented out the crab to you. Now, if we keep going, you can see it's very hard to see with the standard texture pack, but we have a path of sandstone here that acts kind of like the path in the game. Though I think it was just primarily a straight path until we got to right about here. Which here we would see a little Po-Matoran working on a sculptor. One thing I forgot to mention, the Onu-Matorans are skilled diggers. The Po-Matorans are skilled sculptors. Not really sure what the Le-Matorans are known for. It's kind of weird that they don't really have an ability. But anyway, if we head over that way, we'll get into town. If we head over this way, we'll get into an area that you end up going to typically after you went to Po-Koro. So we'll just go ahead and head straight for this area. And this area is, each of these masks here is one of the Toas. So right here we have Leiwa's mask, we have Tahu, Kopaka, Pohatu, Gali, and Onua. I had to look at that to kind of figure out what was there for a second. Now, in this, I'll go ahead and say it. In Po-Koro, there was an illness being spread around, and that illness is causing their prized Koli player, Koli being a sport similar to soccer in their world, or actually kind of more like lacrosse. Like use a hammer to bat a ball-shaped stone around. But anyway, so there'd be there's a sickness going around, somewhat mysteriously, though you find out it's related to this special Koli ball that's been being sold by one of the vendors. It's being like a very good Koli ball, very perfect and gets you very skilled, but it had like some sort of poison on it. And you get this key, and in one of these masks is where you put the key in. I believe it was Pohatu's. And it would open up a pathway down to a scorpion's nest. I can't remember the actual name of the creature. And this was really cool because this is typically one of the first areas you went to. So this is also one of the first areas you actually saw one of the Toas in action, and you actually got to play along. You actually got to control him. You got to control Pohatu a little bit because Pohatu showed up and he became blinded by the scorpion's venom. So you had to control him and kick, not at the scorpion, but at the scorpion's nest. Now, one of the things about Pohatu is that he is a good kicker. He's not a sculptor, but he's very good at Koli matches. So his gimmick was that he had gears on his leg so that he could kick. Everyone else had gears in their arms so that they could do stuff with their arms. That was the whole gimmick of the Bionicle line originally, was that they had these gears that let their arms move around and stuff like that. At least the bigger sets. The little Matorans and Tahungas that they sold, the Tragas that they sold were very cheaply done. But they do have a bit of a nostalgic charm to them for someone like me who enjoyed the series, even at its worst. So yeah, right here we're in Po-Koro, which has the mask, or the maskless face in the entrance. And right here is the vendor for the Koli ball. And they even use a cookie as a Koli ball. It's kind of cool. So yeah, when you first come in here, like, it is depressing. Like there's even cows here too. That's cool. It's kind of depressing. Like everyone's sick, and you go over here and you see one of the Koli match players like practicing, and he's like talking. He started asking questions. He started saying, "Well, you know, people are getting sick around here. We may have to cancel the Koli match." And like when you leave him, he starts coughing, like he's sick or something. I think when you come back, you see him just gone, which is kind of a little weird. When you come back later, he's kind of gone, like he's sick. And like you can't enter any of the houses. Like, you know, you can't enter a lot of the houses, and like some of the houses even have like markings on them saying like, this guy's sick. When I first saw it, it seemed almost kind of, for a desert-themed area, it almost seemed like this should be the problem that they would be suffering in a desert. Like, I don't know why. I think it has to do something like just my upbringing. Like, this is stuff I've seen. Like, this seems like this would be like the perfect scenario for a desert, like, to have like some sort of illness, because like it gave off this ancient vibe, and one of the big things about ancient times, like sickness and stuff like that. Yeah, like I said, even in the game they had these two cows over here, which is pretty cool. And like, they were Lego cows. They were made with the Lego Technic pieces, which, for those of you unaware, Lego Technic is the original name of the toy line, or the parts used in Bionicle, and I believe even like say the newer stuff. Like, you know, the gears, axles, joint connectors, pretty much anything that's not a standard Lego is a Technic piece. Though you can have Technic pieces with the Lego sets. So yeah, so now that we're done with that, let's head over. Oh, they don't have a path. Okay. I don't think they have a path to, if you head this way from the village, there'd be a path, and you'd see a Ga-Matoran. The interesting thing about the Ga-Matorans, all females. The blue ones are all girls. Why is this? Because Gali was a girl. I guess still is a girl. And she's the only female character in as far as the Toas go. Oh, the blue Toas are all girls. So anyway, you talk to the Ga-Matoran, and she's like, hey, our village is in trouble. And you say, okay, you want to help, and you'll get on her little hovercraft jet ski boat thing and sail to Ga-Koro, which is over here. A village made on lily pads in the ocean. Now right here is, I believe you start off here once you save Ga-Koro. But beforehand you start over here. Which I believe is actually on the map, like right here. Because you can go directly over to Gali's mask here. This is supposed to be Gali's mask, like a stone of Gali's mask with a waterfall. But you can't really do anything there. And real quick. Oh, there you go. Knew I did that wrong. Also, I believe you were further away from the starting point than this. I want to say, like, the starting point was on the other side of the map. Like, you know where Le-Koro is? Like, according to you, like, you got the... Oh, we'll use this for... It's like... We'll use this, like, say this is the volcano. We started off somewhere over here. I believe you'd actually start off somewhere more over here. Like, Le-Koro, I think, was somewhere up here. I believe. Or it's like somewhere deeper into the jungle. But yeah. So right here we have the entrance to Ga-Koro, which is normally sealed off, except for, like, you have these, this scale, this old-fashioned weight scale, and you have to equalize the weight of one end. You have to take the weight of one end to equal the other so you can get in. It's not that hard. Again, keep in mind the target demographic for this game was young kids. And really, in the game like this, you just want to explore the island. You don't want the challenges to be tough. So anyway, you come in here, and this village is kind of somewhat on fire. Like, in shambles. And all the villagers are gone. They've disappeared. Right here, I believe this is the Taraga's hut, which I can't remember the Taraga's name. Yeah, they were all hidden away. One thing I should mention, since I've already mentioned this for the others so far, Ga-Matorans are known primarily as teachers. Yeah, kind of weird that all the women would be teachers. Teachers and knowledge seekers. They're kind of like the scholars sort of thing. Which I guess the Lamatorans would be like entertainers. Entertainers and thrill seekers sort of thing. So yeah, it's, like I said, it's a little weird. I think later on they kind of abandoned that pretense, whatever, if you want to call it that. Kind of abandon that gimmick of like each tribe being a different thing. But yeah, anyway, so the only hut that you really need to go into would be this one, which has a hole in it. I believe, I'm trying to remember now, I believe if you go into the Taraga's hut, there's like a little pod underwater that you can look at, and there's like, you see all the Matorians shoved up in the pod, and they're like knocking on the glass. Like they need help. They kind of went into a panic room. If you come down here, there's this gear that you can find somewhere in this little area down here. It's actually pretty cleverly hidden, but you can find it. I think there might be 2 gears. Then you go into the, like, actually maybe it was like over here or something. You hit this. Oh wait, no, it was on. Let me. Oh, they don't have it on here. There's like a 3rd lily pad, or another lily pad that had nothing on it, and like had this like this mechanical device with like this string or cord attached to it, and that was what. Yeah, you fixed that with the gears to lift them back up. And then somewhere in this one, Gali fought off this serpent thing to help save the tribe out. I think this was like a before, maybe like it's like a before the fact thing. I think there's like a flashback or something like that. But yeah, this right here, this is pretty accurate too. There's like this little performance dome sort of thing. All of this in the game, in the original series, was made of lily pad, not melons. So yeah, but you know, imagine trying to make the entire thing here. One, you can't place lily pads in the air, so that'd be impossible. And 2, yeah, it wouldn't look right to make one giant lily pad. So yeah, this I do give my props out to the guy who made this. To the guy to whichever one of the 2 did this. Because they did the best they could with what Minecraft had, and they didn't have to resort to mods. So yeah, that was Ga-Koro. Like I said, once you're finished with Ga-Koro, the entrance is now this, which actually this might be the pod. This one might be the pod, I think, that I was talking about earlier. And then it becomes your place for the boat. So we've explored 5 of the 6 areas. There's only 1 area left to explore. I mean, it's not my favorite area. I didn't save it for last. This is kind of how it worked. Actually, there's technically 2 areas left to explore. But we'll go ahead and explore this one first. Like I said, it's not my favorite area. It's not my least favorite either. Trying to think if there is a least favorite. No, not really. But anyway, right here, you see we have a warp point here, which is really weird because he hasn't had warp points yet throughout the entire map. This is the only one that has a command block and a warp to it. So you see over here, we see a mountain. I believe in the actual game, it's over here. Like it takes up like the snow area takes up more closer to the mountain. You can actually kind of tell this is an unfinished map. You see where all this kind of gets squared off very evenly. And you can see where this is. Like I'm fairly certain they used not MC Edit, World Edit. That's it. For those of you who don't know, World Edit is a mod that you can get that makes building natural structures in the game a lot easier. Actually makes building in general a lot easier because you can like copy and paste structures and all this stuff in game. So like they probably did this all in World Edit. But you can see right here, you can see where the stone ends off. You can see where it continues on for the mountain here. Though I will say, as far as the forest goes, they did a pretty good job of blending the forest into the mountain. At least for this section. Over here, it kind of seems like a little. They should have continued a little more. Honestly, it's hard. Again, it's hard to say. Like, two different people made this map. One of them started, the other finished it. It's kind of hard to tell where the fault is to blame on the first guy for just kind of either getting bored and not finishing it or not updating it or whatever. Or the other guy for just kind of. Or the other guy only had what he had to work with. He didn't have world edit or anything like that. Because the second guy only claims to have done the put in the villages. Ooh, it's a little house here. I believe that might actually be an actual house in the game. But anyway, what this spot over here is usually like one of those ski lifts, and it would go up and around the mountain. And like I said, due to the positioning and stuff, like where they decide to put stuff, it's a lot different. Yeah, and here it's just a warp. So just kind of start down the path here, which I believe is accurate, if I remember correctly. And then we kind of lose path here. I believe there's supposed to be like some flags that you can follow, some like red flags you can follow. So like I said, Le-Korans are very secretive villagers. Or actually, I should say very elusive villager. They're kind of shy, but they are very talkative. Ko-Korans, on the other hand, are very, I don't want to say antisocial, but they're very small talkers. They don't talk a whole lot. They're very secretive. Right here, there's like this little puzzle where you gotta select the right mask, and just don't see if there's anything behind there. And it'll open up a secret passage. It's Kopaka's mask. You follow the path here. I believe, I'm trying to remember, somewhere along this path, you end up getting lost and found by one of the Ko-Matorans. And he gives you a light. No, he doesn't give you the light stone. You start off with the light stone. He gives you like a heat stone, which is like kind of like a light stone, but kind of more like a lighter sort of thing. But yeah. Excuse me there. Then you end up here at Ga-Koro or Ko-Koro. This is fairly accurate to the game. The game doesn't give you a whole lot to work with. It only gave you like 3 buildings, and I believe you can only go into one of them, which is the Taraga's building. I have no clue what any of this is, and I want to say like the guy recommends using a certain texture pack, and this may be why. Like it may read through the letters or something. I didn't say that's not why, but it's, you know. So with that done, we just finished up Ko-Koro, or at least what they revealed in the game. And I said there was one more thing to look at, and you're probably wondering what that is. For those of you who've never played the game or never gotten to the Bionicle mythos, for those of you that have, you probably know about Kini-Nui, which is the center of the island, or the proposed center of the island. Now real quick, I'm gonna get the map out. Actually, I probably want to just make a copy of it. There we go. So, roughly in the center of the map, it's actually kind of a little more north of where we are, at least it's supposed to be, is the lair of the Makuta, Kini-Nui, the quote-unquote center of the island, even though the volcano is more or less the center. This is where the Toas go after they all retrieve their golden Kanohis. their golden masks of power, which I believe just gave them all the powers of the other Toas, because each mask had a different power. Tahu had shield, Kopaka had telepathy, Lewa had levitation, Gali had water breathing. Yeah, go figure. The woman had the least powerful ability. Onua had night vision. Pohatu had speed. Later on, I think they kind of abandoned the concept of each mask having abilities. I could be wrong there. Or at least they stopped using their abilities. Because they all stopped going for the golden masks. They all stopped trying to retrieve the masks. There's also a bit of retconning here. This area looks like it's unfinished. But there's a map. There's a pathway. Oh. Okay. Oh. Really? And the guy didn't finish this. Huh. It's a little weird. Maybe it was like supposed to be like a warp or something. But anyway, so yeah, going through what we saw Gali's waterfall. In the game anyway, that's where you go through. I don't know where the Toas go through. It's kind of left ambiguous. But you go through this way. There we go. Jeez, why didn't they finish that? This is very, wow. And here's some more that's unfinished. Wow. But yeah, you eventually find your way to Kini-Nui, but first you have to recruit various villagers from all over. One of each tribe, primarily the ones you've met. And I believe these guys later on become the third generation Toas. Jaller is one of them. And he actually has a yellow mask in the original game, but then as he becomes in the original version, but when he becomes a Toa, he upgrades to a red mask. That's kind of a little weird, isn't it? Or downgrades, however you want to see it. So wow. Huh. I just now realized we're kind of. Right, there we go. Get a torch out for easy identification. There we go. Yeah, wow. Okay, so we're back in the jungle. So where are we on the map? This would be a pretty good spot for Kini-Nui, but this is taking us all around the island. Wow. So yeah, eventually you yourself manage to wind your way to Kini-Nui. Using each of the Matorans that you find, each of them have their own abilities and powers that help you get to Kini-Nui, which is this structure here. It looks like a giant pod top. And each of the Toas, I'm gonna close that. Each of the Toas put up their golden masks into like a slot or something, I think, and then it opens up the path here, opens this up to the Makuta's lair, which is unfinished, or at least it's in the Nether. Unfortunately, I'm not going in there because the last time I tried that, it really cracked, it really screwed up the game. But yeah, there's not really a whole lot to see in there anyways. It's basically a square room. So yeah, that is Mata Nui, the island from Bionicle, the original starting ground for one of the most popular of Lego's franchises. I actually believe it was the first major franchise that Lego ever did. I mean, yeah, they had like some other franchises that had like I want to say they had like their City and Knights franchises, but they never had anything that was like a real core franchise. And this was like their first major IP. Like something with a cohesive story that was going to last for years. Like all the others kind of didn't have a story. And I've got to say, even with all the errors, even with all the, I guess you could say, continuity errors, you know, placements and stuff, this is a very impressive map. Like, just on the scale alone of being able to match the island so perfectly, like as perfectly as they did, it's impressive. And the island is vast. This is a big island for, like, just essentially just two people. One person primarily, because the other person just picked up the slack and put down villages. I would love to see what other people can do with this. This is a very, like I said, a very impressive map. And it is, again, Bionicle is one of my favorite franchises, even to this day. Even though all the stupid crap that happened later on, or the pretty much the writers, I seriously think the writers didn't have anything planned out after like the first few years. Like, they're just flying from the seat of their pants. One of the stories, if the series had continued going on, would involve time travel to the age of dinosaurs. And at that point, I was like, yeah, they're kind of out of ideas. And what the heck? Huh, what's this? Oh, it's just an area with lava? Or did have lava in it. Oh, it's weird. Crap. Let's head back to the islands. But yeah, it's like, again, it's like Bionicle is, I'm really hoping that the current franchise, the current reboot, is going to do the series the proper justice it needs, and they're not going to kidify it, so to speak, and like dumb it down. And they're not going to dumb it down for the younger crowd, because this was a series that was meant for, like, you know, 12-year-olds and older. This is meant for like young, older kids to young adults. Primarily because that's what the Technic line was meant for. The Technic line was meant to appeal to a older audience. Primarily my age group when it first came out. And it did. And I'm hoping that they can strike fire twice, but I'm a little worried, especially with what I've seen, how they kind of seem to generic, kind of turn the Toas. They make the Toas look unique, but they're like, they retooled their abilities, or they kind of seem to make it vague whether or not their abilities are going to be the same as the original or not. If they've retooled them, they kind of like. My biggest concern is Lewa is no longer the Toa of air, but the Toa of jungle, which I'm like, okay, and he no longer has levitation as his ability, or does he? I don't know. It's like they're very vague on like the new abilities and stuff, and well, I do like the new figures. I'm hoping the story is gonna be good. And so far the island has not, the new island has done nothing to impress me. It looks like Mata Nui if you kind of took the natural abilities of Mata Nui, the naturalness of the Mata Nui island, natural appearance, and kind of split it into 6 equal chunks, or semi-equal chunks. It's like I said, a little disappointing with the way it's designed. Like the mountain in the middle, like on this mountain, you don't know where the, like up here where I'm at, this little gray area is supposed to be like jungle, pretty much. It's not supposed to be gray, but yeah, this was designed more to match the game and follow a similar pathway, and they chose that as the starting spot instead of, you know, the other side, which is what I thought was always the beginning. But yeah, and like I said, instead of being like a kind of a natural island with, albeit some bizarre structures, but some bizarre, not bizarre structure, some bizarre terrain. You know, with the desert on one end of jungle on the other. It still felt real. And it still felt like it could work. And I hope that they kind of find a way to make that work too with the new ones. But so far I haven't seen much of the story. And there could be a story and I'm just not paying attention to it. But I'm hoping that they kind of make it again another kind of this epic story, this epic tale of mysticism with these robots. Because that's one of the things I loved about the series. Is that there's this sci-fi element of these mechanical beings who are living creatures living in this tribal state. And they kind of got ruined as the series went on. They kind of just evolved from mysticism and turned into science fiction, just straight up sci-fi. So yeah, but like I said, hopefully they'll do the series justice. But yeah, that all said, I think this is about as good a spot as any to end off. You know, right where we began. We came full circle. We visited all the towns, all the Koros. We even saw Kini-Nui. We didn't visit the Makuta's lair because that would probably crash the game. So yeah, with all that said, I'll see you guys later.